Hey everyone, my name is Jake Hendrickson. I am the regional consultant for the state of Michigan for Whitetail Partners. I just wanted to take some time today to introduce myself. So for those of you guys who are in Michigan and who are interested in having a consultation or having somebody come out to put a habitat plan together for you, you'll have a better idea as to who you'll be working with. Along with a brief introduction, I also want to give you guys a quick tip on access, getting to and from your stand location, because that's one of the projects that we'll be working on this coming off season. But before we get into that tip on access, I did want to take some time to introduce myself. Again, my name is Jake. I've lived in Michigan my entire life, kind of around the greater Grand Rapids area. I've been married for 6.5 years. Me and my wife have 3 children. Our oldest, our son Blake, he is 5.5 years old. Our daughter Charlie, she's just about to turn 3. And our youngest son Chase was just born this past October. We love everything that has to do with the outdoors, so whenever we can, we're trying to find something to do on our property. And shifting focus to hunting and habitat management, I've been hunting here in Michigan my entire life. I started hunting at a very young age. I was going out with my dad somewhere around 6 to 8 years old. I can't remember when I was going out for the first time, but I shot my first buck at the age of 12, and ever since then I've been on my own hunting here in Michigan. We started putting in habitat improvements on our property about 12 years ago, kind of the tail end of 2009 or the early part of 2010, and we've been working on our properties ever since. Over the last decade of installing habitat improvements on our properties, we have learned so much in terms of how to install specific improvements, what works, what doesn't work, how deer react to individual improvements, as well as how to lay out these improvements or design a property to create not only predictable movement within the property borders, but also to create high odds stand locations. And once we were able to install those habitat improvements, as well as adjust the way that we hunted the property, we've been having fairly consistent success harvesting those older bucks in our neighborhood. I've also been consulting here in Michigan for the past several years, helping Michigan landowners develop plans to improve both their habitat and their hunting experience. And that's a really brief introduction or background as to who I am. I just wanted to take some time today to introduce myself because you're going to be seeing more of me as we put together more content for this channel, as well as for you Michigan landowners who are interested in having somebody come out and consult on your property. But now let's change gears and talk about our tip for today, and that's a tip on access or getting to and from your stand locations. And this is something that we take very seriously, something that is a high priority on every property, and there's a lot of information on this within each habitat plan. And we're going to be using my property for this example, as we're going to be working on the access on this property this coming off season. When you are walking to your stand locations or when you are leaving your stand locations, you do not want to be walking through areas where there is a high probability of deer activity at that time. And so basically the easiest way to get to your stand location is not always the best way. And to give you guys an example of this, I'll be using my property to show you why the easy way is not always the best way and why you need to avoid those deer areas when you're accessing or leaving your stand locations. So right now we are standing on my north property line. I'm not sure if you can see it, but we have some chalk line kind of strung together from different fence posts along my property line. So I had the property surveyed and I just kind of went down the property line where those survey markers were in sunken posts, and I ran a line from it from post to post all the way to a county road that's about 120 yards behind me. So again, this is my north property line and where we're going to be looking to improve our access. We're going to have a few larger food plots a couple hundred yards to the south, and these are areas where the deer are going to move to in the evening. They're going to spend a lot of time out here throughout the night and into the morning hours. As we move away from these food plots to the north, we're going to have more bedding opportunities, and this is where we want to be spending our morning hours in the stand, on the downwind side of those bedding areas. And this is where I wanted to talk about access. The easiest way to get from my house to a stand location on the backside of bedding would be to walk around my pond, through the food plots, up a trail, and straight to the stand location. I think from my driveway, it's about a 340-yard walk to the stand location. However, like we said earlier, we do not want to be walking through areas where there's a higher probability of deer activity. And in the morning, the deer are going to be out in those food plots. So if we walk through the food plots to get to our stand location, we are going to be blowing the deer off our property. So instead, we need to take the long way around to the stand location. Next season, when we want to be hunting these stand locations on the back side of bedding for a south wind, we're going to continue down our driveway. Once we hit the road, we're going to be taking a right, heading north about a couple hundred yards until we reach the property line. Then we're going to follow the property line all the way down until we can cut into our stand location that's located on the back side or the downwind side of bedding. While this is not the easiest or I guess the shortest way to get to the stand location, I think we're adding about 300 and some yards to our access route. This is the correct way, as we are walking through a non-deer area and not through an area with a high probability of deer activity. So instead of walking through the food plots and kicking all the deer off the property, ending the hunt before it even began, we're going to be sneaking along the back side of all the deer activity and catching the movement as they start heading back to those bedding areas. I know it was a quick tip, but hopefully it helped. Just try to remember that the easiest way is not always the best way, and to try to access and also leave your property through a non-deer area. This is something that we take into consideration in every habitat plan. If you guys are interested in having a habitat plan done or just want to talk to us and see what that might look like, feel free to give us a call. All of our information will be in the description of the video. Please let us know if there's anything else we can do for you, as we look forward to helping you change your property for good.